Hey, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to We Have Something to Say with Kenneth Lively and Leonard Watkins. I'm going to forewarn you all. I'm actually trying to be on two meetings simultaneously. So if you see me go silent and let Kenneth talk, it's because I'm on another mandatory meeting. That was,
Oh, that's a first. You don't let me talk?
yeah, I'm gonna let him talk.
Wow.
He's in a prickly mood this morning, which he should be. So I'm gonna accept that. I think he should be in a prickly mood. I hope he in a prickly getting motherfucker's ass mood personally. But but it just but we don't have everybody on here, so I don't have to explain that. So I guess we'll get started waiting on people to come on if they're coming on. I pulled up some numbers for you. I thought you might find interesting. 24 election, percentage of black voters that voted. South Carolina, 53.7. Alabama, 54.9. Kentucky, 59.3. North Carolina, 63.6. Georgia, 63.8. Mississippi, 72.9. The only real hard data I got for you for is Georgia. He won Georgia by 116,000 votes. 400,000 African Americans didn't vote.
Yeah, we know it was a lot.
400,000 African Americans did not vote. He won by 116. 400,000. Me and you, I don't know if me and you look at the same way. I always tell people, I can't worry about what white people do and what white people don't do. Because I realize we have some real allies in white people, and we have some real people who really, 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 really don't even think about us until it's time to something that's going to affect them. But for 400,000 African Americans not to vote, is with what was on the line, which we just lost. For 400,000 African Americans not to vote is cowardice. It's disrespectful. Um, uh, you and I had this conversation all the time because I know how exasperated when you say, Leonard, what else could we do to get them to vote? The only answer I ever have for you is I don't know what we do to get them to vote, but I do know that them not voting affects us. I've said this affects us because really we're in the same boat they're in. And now they're not voting, or our inability to get them to vote or to get past the disinformation has now proven to be, I'm not going to call it fatal because fatal means um, it's over, but it's proven to
Detrimental.
be, huh?
It's detrimental.
It's proven to be highly, highly detrimental. And Brian would always say this to me, man, it's a lot easier to get laws than it is to lose laws. And he would always say, because now you got to go back through the court system. You got to have all these lawsuits filed, and people are going to fight it, and push it out years and years and years because a large part of fighting lawsuits is delay. And I just, man, I know I know you and I struggle with this a lot because we talk about this. One of the things I've always had a lot of respect for you for is I know how much you like scuba diving, and I know how much you like scuba diving in Florida. But you make the concerted effort to say I'm not going to go to Florida, even though that's your favorite place to scuba dive. Now you made the concerted effort to say I'm not can't go down there. I can't spend my money down there if this is what this government's going to do. And there's not enough African Americans that are willing to be uncomfortable like our ancestors. When people say, what can you do and what's radical, we got to remember that. And I'm not saying this is the tactic that should be used because I don't know if it works anymore. But marching back then was radical, right? It's like it was radical. It was radical. It was like really, really radical. Um, and we don't like the word radical. We don't want to be called radical. But the question becomes, what's the radical behavior now? Because now is the time for radical behavior and radical solutions. Now is the time. Um, I posted the other day somebody on my Morehouse spin, so it's been a back and forth on the Morehouse Spellman page. I'm sure it is on the Morris Brown page. And just have people that I just think they talk. And the radical part of what they did back then, and again, I agree with Kenneth. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it works anymore because they've adapted that. The radical part is we aren't willing to do what's radical, and we aren't willing to be uncomfortable like you. I mean, I love Florida too. My favorite place to vacation is Florida. Destin and
I don't love Florida. Believe me.
I love the water.
I have a high dislike for Florida.
I love the water.
I really do.
I love the water.
Going back 30, almost 40 years, I have a high dislike of Florida. So
no, but you understand what I'm saying, right? I'm saying,
I understand what you're saying.
If I have a preference for beach water, I like the Gulf better than I like the Atlantic. That's what I'm saying. Good morning, Stacey. And I haven't been because I just couldn't see myself spending my money down there even for a short period of day. And we sit here and talk about Louisiana. Kenneth, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. I watch. I'm a big follower of Gary Chambers. I don't know what Stacey is. I'm a big follower and supporter of Gary Chambers. I've sent him money, but I had to write on his post yesterday because he'll respond to me on his post because I post enough. The fuck you want us to do, Gary? You African Americans in Louisiana, y'all damn near gave up. Y'all let this fool in office because y'all didn't vote. And all y'all problems that you have right now would have been resolved in the last election if you had just voted.
True.
You just voted. Cal, you know I'm a fan of yours. You know I'm a supporter of yours. The question is how. I was just telling Kenneth before you came on, 400,000 African Americans didn't vote in Georgia in the 2024 election. He won by 116,000 votes. And his win was going to affect us the most. I don't care what those other people do. I only care about how we respond to what's going to hurt us the most. Hey man, I can send you an invite. Come on the show and tell us, because I get it. I think the app would be great, but you gotta get people to use the app. You can't even get them to go stand in line to vote. We don't even have any. They just pretty much shut out the South. I've been screaming that from the top of my lungs. They shut out the South. They damn near control all national elections. And the way to shut out the South is to shut out and push black people back to the Jim Crow area. You can't even get our quote unquote top leaders in Congress, Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries. They don't even barnstorm in the South. People are lazy. And I don't follow Cory Booker, don't even barnstorm in the South. Anyway, Kenneth, I got to gather my thoughts. I'm so disgusted by it. When I even think about it, I'm disgusted. I'm so damn happy my father's not living and my mom's damn near in dementia.
That's a powerful statement.
I can't. I want my mom being cognizant of this.
It goes back to something that I'm thinking about something that I posted the other day, and I'm gonna use this analogy because I think it's appropriate. When the Hawks played, who was it they played the other day? The Knicks, and they lost by 50 points in a playoff game, a closeout playoff game. They lost by 50 points. And they just didn't show up. And I posted, and a couple of people commented, it's like, the Hawks have no heart. Our community doesn't have any heart. We don't. We like to claim that we do. We like to boast that we do. Uh, but we don't have any heart. We just give it up. And that's the sad part. Too many of us are giving up. They don't think. And you try to tell people, hey, our ancestors fought for this, blah, 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 all this stuff. And they don't care. Because they think in the now and not for what's coming down the line, what's possibly coming down the line. It's something that I heard yesterday. I think it was the Reed Daniel Favors on Urban View on Sirius XM, and she said something that I had never thought about before. I did kind of sort of hear some of it. Some of it I did know already, but I didn't think about the overalls. What she said was, majority of the black community did not support Martin Luther King and
Marius
the
says that.
civil rights movement. Majority of the black community didn't support it. And I never thought about that. Now I had heard that a lot of ministers didn't support him or the movement. I did, because they thought it was so radical and all that. But I never thought about the overall black community not supporting. And she said, majority of the black community did not march. They didn't do it. And we try to say that this complacency, thank you for the word, Harriet, that we're experiencing now is something new. And it's actually, because we've always taught black people were very much that everybody in the black community was a part of the civil rights movement. Everybody marched. It was a good, everybody was in on it. They worked. All our ancestors did, whatever it took, and they weren't. I never thought about that.
They weren't. Marion says it all the time on here. Marion always says that.
It's such a profound, what's the word I'm looking for? A profound way of looking at history, not through the lens of who wrote history or how we like to romanticize that era, and look at it from a scope of reality. So this is nothing new in our community. The question is, and it's always will be, how do we get the rest of them to get involved? And people like to think that, as I told Leonard, and Leonard just alluded to a few minutes ago, I think protesting doesn't work now, because during the 60s, the civil rights era, white people were forced to change because they were embarrassed. It was economics, and they were embarrassed. They did not want the world to see black people being brutalized. When they saw on the news, when they started the television, which was a relatively new thing at that time in the 50s, that was a relative. In the 60s, when they started showing black people protesting, and then innocent protesters getting beat up, getting assaulted by police officers, that embarrassed the United States. Because here we are talking about we're a democracy, we're the best democracy in the world, we're a world leader, blah, 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 and all this, all the lies they tell us and all that. And they are killing their own citizens for doing something that is the most American thing to do, protesting. And I tell my students this all the time. The first act that people did in this country, when they would decide they wanted to become a country, was protest. The Boston Tea Party was a protest. Actually, it was a riot, to be quite honest. And somebody died. A British soldier died, according to the British.
So wait. So you're saying they're willing to put their life on the line?
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think that those people on the thing, I don't think they tried to put their life on the line, because ironically, so they wouldn't get punished, they dressed like Native Americans, which I thought was kind of funny. But they ain't fooling anybody. But they were protesting. They didn't think anybody would get killed. When Christmas Addicts was killed, I jokingly tell my students, Christmas wasn't trying to protest. Christmas was going to see his girl. He was trying to go get him something that night. And he just happened to see the people out there, the white people out there protesting. He was like, what y'all doing? Oh, we protesting. What y'all protesting? You know, the tax and all this and all that. He's like, all right, I'll see y'all later. Deuces. And he turned around and some white dude shot him. That's how I imagine Christmas addicts being the first person killed in the American Revolution. Christmas was just minding his own black business, trying to go see his girlfriend, and somebody shot him. But he did lose his life. We keep trying to tell people that so many people died and they were brutalized just so you could have the right to vote. And here it is, you won't even exercise that right. And it is a right. It is a right. You have people who are convicted felons that are trying to get their voting rights back, trying to get the ability to vote back. And some certain states won't even allow that to happen. And here it is, you have never been arrested, have no felony convictions or anything like that, and you refuse to vote. I can't make it make sense anymore. The complacency, the disdain for voting in our community is ridiculous. And to be quite honest, if you can't be shamed into doing it, you can't be prodded into doing it, the only thing left is to pay motherfuckers to do it. That's all that's left. Because they, as Marion said, they got to feel the pain. Well, they're feeling the pain now. They're feeling the pain. Their lack of voting is the reason why Trump is in there, and the reason why gas prices have gone up over $1, why food prices have damn near doubled. All of that is because of him. And the 400,000 people in Georgia that didn't vote, 400,000 black people that didn't vote. That's your fault.
That's
the bottom line. He would not have won Georgia if you say he lost by 115,000.
115,000, 400,000 black people, registered black people didn't vote.
So if a third of those black people who didn't vote had voted and voted for Kamala Harris, that motherfucker wouldn't be in office. A third. That's 125,000 people. I'm sorry. No, that's a third. That's about a third.
No,
that's about 125,000 people, something like that. I mean but we want to learn all the new TikTok dances. We want to learn. We care about, and this is the stupidest thing. Caring about whether or not Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion are still a couple. Who gives a damn if two millionaires dating each other? I don't understand why that is such a debate in our community. It's such a damn distraction about all the shit that's going on in the world, going on with us. I have a student, and I had to stay on him. It really hurts my heart. He's one of my players it was on the basketball team. Kid is very smart, and I think, and I have told him this several times. I was like, boy, he was like a coach on the court. Coach and I, we would try to come up with plays. He's like, no, coach, let's try this. This will work. Let's try this. Let's try this play. That'll work. He's a natural born leader. A coach, honor student. I think a 3.9 GPA, something like that. He has all the tools. He's talking about, I want to go into the Army. Enlist in the Army right now. Now, I don't know who keeps putting this stuff in his ear. I don't understand it. I can't figure it out. Somebody's putting stuff in his ear, and he's like, I got to do this now. So I broke it down for him. I said this. I said, you can get a scholarship to any state school. You might qualify for the Zell Miller. If not, you get the whole. I said, but I need you to go to college for 1 year. Go for 1 year. Try it. If you don't like it, military ain't going nowhere. And then I broke it down even more. I said, this is not the time for a black man to go in the military. This is not the time. That fool is starting all kind of wars, and it's going to be more, and it's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time before those wars end. I don't give a damn how many sessions he had with the Iranians on trying to end this conflict or whatever. It's going to continue because that fool ain't got no damn sense. He's a fucking idiot. And we need to not send our young people into the military to die for his bullshit. So the consequences of all of this is we are putting our children in harm's way. We're putting our children.
Wait. We can't. We. Can I interject? And then I invited somebody on the show. I invited Cal on the show because I do want to talk about solutions if he comes on. We first have to identify and really be honest about where we can be effective. We really got to identify where it really would hurt them. And you and I had this conversation all the time. And we've had this conversation. And while I agree, Leonard, that's probably not going to happen. I don't know. He's not trying to enrich themselves. Absolutely, Stacy. I don't know if we've identified those, and you all keep saying complacency. I'm sorry. I'm a little more brutal than that. And I'm going to keep using my podcast partner as an example, because I think that if you don't use examples of personal stories, we'll never get out of this. It's will. I agree. Me and Marion talk all the time. Most people weren't in the marches, but enough of them were. It's will. And I agree that history doesn't tell the truth, because most of those workers who were doing that work in Mississippi and Alabama were women, Black women. It's the will. It's the will to determine what's going to happen in your neighborhoods. It's the will to say, I'm not going to do that. I want to do it, but I'm not going to do it. But it's insanity. It is straight up insanity, Kenneth, that I would send my kids to any state school where the leader of that state is actively going to suppress my right to vote or my rights. Actively, for lights and bright cameras. And before y'all come on here and start talking about NIL money, let me be very, very clear with you. NIL money follows the players. It follows the players. But I'm not going to actively I don't give a fuck who's the coach. I'm not going to actively send my kids to LSU because LSU has a winning reputation with a governor and a state legislator that is openly racist. Openly. Who sends their kids into racism?
You know something? It's funny. Maybe I just thought that maybe some people in our community are so accustomed to racism that they don't even see it anymore.
Maybe
that because there's thing that the whole phenomenon of you smell something for so long you don't even smell it anymore, or you heard something for so long you don't even hear it anymore. Maybe that's what's going on in our community. We've been so accustomed to being some people in our community have been so accustomed to being oppressed that they don't even see that they're being recognized that they're being oppressed anymore. Because to them, that's their everyday life. And that means, excuse me, I think that could be part of the problem with in some of these states, the southern states. We don't see it anymore. We don't recognize it anymore because we're so accustomed to it. And you know
No,
something funny?
I think you
something
got to make a distinction, Kenneth. Make a distinction if you can. We don't recognize it. Marion recognized it because what racism was to Marion, because he's 15 years older than us, is different than what it was to us. Marion went through that nasty racism.
Right.
And we think that nasty racism, like he and I were talking the first time he had to step off a sidewalk. Like he told me that story when he said he was 13. And his mom stepped off the sidewalk. And he asked her, why, Marion, make sure I'm telling the story right. Why are we stepping off the sidewalk? So you're right. You're right to a certain degree that overt racism.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
I mean, yeah. It's coming.
It's coming.
We're accustomed to the covert, the subtle digs and all of that. And now it's going to be open. It's going to be wide open. Wait. It's not going to be. It is wide open.
Thank you. I said it's coming. It's here.
Yeah.
They put Black women out of work. I don't understand what African American men are doing. I really don't. Maybe we aren't the leaders I thought we were. I remember campaigning for Kamala Harris. I remember campaigning for Stacey. And it was just amazing to me to see how many Black men were at the tailgates for the Falcons. Amazing. Amazing to see how many Black men were at the tailgate for the Falcons. And I was sitting there thinking, I was just thinking, if we just had a quarter of these men out here doing what I was doing that day, passing out flyers. Just a quarter. A quarter. I was in an office where it was 3 Black men. Marion came up twice from Macon because Colette was running that office and Crystal came. Just a quarter. But these Negroes will be at that tailgate. And don't talk to me about that everybody needs a break. Your break has led to this. There's a time, like Walter Payton said, man, there's a time and a place for rest. That's what Walter Payton used to say, man, there's a time and a place for rest. There's a time and a place for rest. And sometimes you got to rest when you're dead.
Let's pivot a little bit.
Go ahead.
We cannot not talk about what happened at South Carolina State, because that is something. And when I say, even when we talk about the protest and embarrassing the United States, what those students embarrassed the president and not the president, the board of trustees from South Carolina State. They definitely did. And in case you all didn't know, if you haven't paid attention to it, the South Carolina State's commencement is coming up next week, if I'm not mistaken, next Sunday or something like that. And the board of trustees invited or voted to invite the lieutenant governor of South Carolina to be the commencement speaker. Now, I'm gonna be real honest, and I'm gonna be real brutal. That chick is a fucking racist. She's a fucking racist. If you live in South Carolina, you have a fucking racist governor and lieutenant governor, and she's running for governor.
It works.
And right, she openly racist. Ain't no shit about she hiding it. That chick is openly racist.
It works.
Straight up. So the students, when they found out, they were like, "Oh, hold on. How the fuck you gonna bring this woman up in here to speak at our commencement?" And in case of those of you who don't know, just in case you don't know, South Carolina State University is an HBCU. I'm not gonna say it's 100%, African American? Because probably not. There's probably some people of other ethnicities working there. I mean that the students
There's
there,
quite a few
but
ethnicities at every
right at
HBCU.
HBCU, yeah.
It's well
Oh,
over,
in case y'all
well
didn't
over
know,
10%.
not one HBCU
Right.
was black. Matter of fact, there's one of them. I think it's Bluefield State. It's
Yeah.
predominantly white.
Yeah, it's well over 10% at most of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's white students. So the students decided, oh, we're gonna protest. So they went into the administration building, and let their voices be heard. And there was one speech by one young lady. She was so eloquent in what she said. And to sum it up, she was like, "It's not about race. It's not about politics. It's about someone that is aligning with what we were taught here at South Carolina State. That's it. Well, you can bring in any white person. You can bring in conservative in. But if someone is antithetical to the mission of South Carolina State, why are you bringing them in to talk to us on our day? That's our day. Because let's be real. A graduation is for the students and their parents. So they're sitting there. They said this to the president. The president was like, damn, this is making us look bad. So they rescinded the invitation. South Carolina State rescinded the invitation to the races. Now, this is the part that got me, because that was a success. I applaud those students for that. And just in case y'all didn't know, very rarely do students at HBCUs protest. That's a rare thing. If it's usually they protest, it's about something with the conditions on the campus or something like that. So very rarely do they protest. When they do, it's legit. Not even the next day or 2 days later, word came out that 9 legislators in South Carolina wants to defund South Carolina State because the students didn't want to have a racist speaking at their day. Fuck that bitch. Let's be real. I don't like to use that word, but fuck that bitch. How are you going to defund a school because they don't want to hear a racist bitch they got them at their graduation? It makes sense.
While I agree with you, the question should have been, what's the answer to you want to defund us? What's the answer? And the answer should have been, every black athlete on the University of South Carolina Gamecocks should have walked off practice and should have went to their dorms and should have said, we will hit the transfer portal if you do that. We will hit the transfer portal. We won't even be at summer practices. Because they do what they do because there's no pushback in a way that's going to hurt them. And we don't have the will. Cal and I, this is Cal, I'm going to let him on in a second, went to Morehouse. And we're on Morehouse pages every day. And I know they think who is this old man with Cal? Because we're on the pages going, Cal, Kenneth, please forgive me for this word I'm about to use. Nigga, what are you talking about? You just talking shit. You ain't doing shit. You talking shit. They doing, we talking. And the only way to hit them is to hit them in their pockets. Just like 2014, Kenneth. Remember, we talked about this. When Alabama decided they were going to put that brutal immigration law in, and all them Mexicans left the state and went to Florida. And that fruit was not getting picked. And them farmers came to the state legislature and said, hey, man, I don't know what y'all talking about. These white boys, these black boys come to pick this goddamn strawberries, these blueberries, and these peas. But ain't nobody out here to pick them. And we losing $3.2 billion. And there wasn't no Hispanics in the school. They had left. They went across the street to Florida. And Florida and the state legislature, Alabama, changed that law in 10 goddamn days. They called it an emergency session. And they took that back. Go ahead, Cal. I hear what
I
you got to say.
agree. I agree so much with all the points made, all the wonderful points made. And I please excuse me for the background because I'm in a little bit of an older car. It's louder, but it just that's very much as an aside. I know you don't know this yet, Leonard, but I have two sons, both 31 years old. They both had motorcycle accidents within 3 weeks of each other, separately,
Wow.
in this crazy Atlanta city that we live in, and they both were kind of horrible accidents, surprisingly, right? So we've been at the hospital, and I'm actually headed back there right now. So it's been a bit of a bomb in my schedule, as you might imagine. One of my sons is still unconscious, so we're dealing with that. But back to the main point at hand, I agree. An educator, Kenneth, I'm sure you're familiar with this. There's certain teachers in that school that have a real way with the students, right? Who have a real following. And even if they're teaching a very technical subject, they still seem to get it across to a higher population than maybe certain other teachers, right? Educators have a way to making this connection that we're speaking of, that we speak of every single week. How do we get to the people? How do we get them motivated? How do we turn their attention when they're lazy, when they're obstinate, when they're stiff-necked people, as we know we are, to our credit and to our detriment, right? So we have to build a zeitgeist into the solution. It has to come enveloped in a tasty morsel of food that they want to digest, that somehow rewards them, that somehow makes them feel proud to be who they are. So the way every time the civil rights movement made such success, it did because it brought in that fervor. If it's absent that fervor, it's then hard to get the uptake that you need. So what our plan has been is to create the master system so that when we plug it up to the fervor and the knowers that we are, we're ready to go. We hit the ground running, right? And all debates really kind of cease at the actions that you take. We can, as humans, we're very gifted. We are expressions of God. We can talk about all kinds of things, and we can talk about every angle to it and bend all kinds of narratives. And it's fun. And we do that culturally. When we do gatherings, we like to debate and ego. And I always say, look, if y'all don't trust anybody, I'm an innocent high school teacher who's done research for 30 years in Black progress, Black resistance, what's been successful, what's not been successful, what tricks have been tried with us. And I really, 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 really feel and know that I've got a tight grip on what must come in with the Similac when it comes to our people. What should be our presentation every single generation? What common rope should we be holding on to make sure that we see about ours, and that every generation doesn't have to learn anew that this country has it out for you, that a good percentage of this country has it out for you. And so you better get your arms up. You better develop some blades and some financial status and some social status that protects and that builds your goals forward. That is your job. Along with developing your personhood, it is to learn how to be collective in your thinking sometimes. It's to learn that certain hatchets between our community must be buried immediately over stupidity. Just come on. I'm not going to debate with you whether the earth is flat or round. I'm not about to take time to do that. We know even genetically where we come from. Science and data answers all of that. So if I have one bias, it is toward empirical data. It is toward data. It is toward scientific method, right? We have to establish standards for how to know what we know. And then we've got to media it out. Well, new forms of media are always there, right? King was no king. He was a David Walker of 1829 without the media. He was a Frederick Douglass without the media, right? The kind of world-changing things that were able to be done is because he held the American conscience between the Bible and the American Constitution, knowing and he held their conscience internationally, made
You breaking up a little bit,
to
Cal.
maintain that break cap. Did a soft job at passing that football on. And the reason they did that is because they thought, right, they thought that the wall down and that we can walk in the communities, get education, get jobs, and that we're kind of on equal footing will make racism just kind of melt away. They'll see we're clean or even more clean or Christian and more Christian or lawful or more lawful than they are. They know all of that. But does it change that 30% of hard races that think they're in competition with you. They see life as a zero-sum game. So $1 gain for you means it must have been taken out of their pocket. It doesn't change them. And they're always campaigning for your detriment. So you have to always have that element going. So I'm just saying, knowing that this cyclical thing exists, we have to create an intergenerational solution that survives us, that gives the roadmap to pulling up the chair so that we're not on the menu, and picking up the chair. We have to defend our rights. We built this country, and I'm tired of us playing small. We're 48 million. That's Spain within the United States. That's Canada within the United States. That's Iraq within the United States. And we still keep talking about the solution, feeling as if we're blind, not employing data, not employing the intel from the recent past, not employing all of our gift and talent. There are people who will do what you guys do, not in the purpose of what you do, but who want to promote themselves. You gentlemen already stand in your own achievement and peace about your achievement in life. You're not trying to climb the ladder in this podcast. You're trying to have a conversation and make a difference. I know that because I've looked into your heart, and I know that. So everybody's not here for that. And the reason why you say, well, Cal, why don't you have a podcast? Honestly, because I detest just talking about it. And I almost want to use all of my energy toward just the doing, so that when I shut my mouth, somebody can pick up thing with it. They can take a weapon and arm themselves. They can say, oh, that podcast meant that I became aware of this system, and I used that system to make sure that my community had a new school built and a hospital. And we made local leaders aware that we were looking at them according to this set of values that is professed and surveyed. And so our eyeball is always on you. So data has you. We have that data, and we're tracking and following up on that data. And we're rewarding users who participate at that level. Everybody won't, but we don't need everybody. 23 million plus are missing from the voter rolls. If we drive 1 million, like our goal is by 2028, to the polls, like we will do by 2028, 1 million new voters. I'm not talking about, voters who already are there. 1 million new voters. God, can you wait? I'm sorry, y'all. You need to make a turn here on Stroudsboro. Okay. So 1 million new voters. And how? Because we're going to be able to show results in data. We're going to be able to show users that when they sent emails, text calls, when they sent glossy, political, but well put together mailers that arrive in lawmakers' boxes or arrive in corporations' mailboxes, and they're getting them by scale, 5,000, 10,000. They will notice that when the press starts to buzz, because we set narratives, we send narratives into the press.
Cal,
we send narratives.
I got a question for you, though, Cal.
Go ahead.
Here's where me and Kenneth had this conversation all the time.
Go ahead.
We seem to be a people. I think history has shown that we seem to be a people. And it's not going like this. Me and Mary always talk about it. We seem to be a people that has always followed or always had, from Reverend C.T. Walker in the early 20s to Frederick Douglass to Paul Robeson. We've always had somebody that had this ability to wake us up. We've always had people like you in the background building some systems. You could literally say that, if the way you're talking, we could literally say that you're okay, what's the guy's name that was the backbone behind the March on Washington? They just did a whole movie about it. Baynard Rustin, right? Baynard knew how to
Bayard Rustin.
Baynard, you know how to put together the systems. He knew how to put together the march. He knew the logistics. He knew how many buses you're gonna need. He knew how many people in the mall to hold. He had a whole team of those people. But Bayard never could have pulled that off if he didn't have that magical voice. And we don't seem to have anybody that's willing to lead for the front with their life. Malcolm led from the front. Martin led from the front. Shuttlesworth led from the front.
But Leonard,
sorry. Go ahead.
One of the things that we are missing that is because we're looking for the perfect leader from the front.
I agree with you.
I mean, it's like,
I
and
agree.
it's funny because I've heard this so many times on different different talk shows and all that. You know, we Democrats want to fall in love, Republicans fall in line. And as Black people, we want to love that. We want somebody to be perfect. They can't be human. They cannot be human. They can't have fault. They can't make mistakes. They got to be perfect on all time. The hair got to be straight. The suit got to be popping every single time.
Right.
Finances got to be
That's
right.
what we're looking for. And in this age of social media, where we're out there, that's an impossibility. That's an
I'll give you an example. I'll give you a Cal example. Wait, let me give you a Cal example.
Okay.
Let me give you a Cal example. Plies the rapper. Plies the rapper has 3.5 million followers on Instagram. And Plies puts all of his business out there and talks politics. All of it. Plies is a 360-degree person. I went to Cal. I went to watch Hakeem Jeffries during the election at Friendship Baptist Church. He came on a Friday at 7:00 in a Black neighborhood, and most of the people there were white. And I walked out of there going, "This is the best we got. This is the best we got."
He's a policy wonk.
This meeting,
but
Cory Booker is the best we got.
See,
you ain't even been South, where most of us are in the South. Kenneth, I'm just asking. You and I talk about this all the time, Kenneth. So you ain't even coming South. I'm supposed to follow you. I'm supposed to follow you, and you can't bring your light-skinned blue ass down South to Daugherty County.
See, this is the thing.
So,
well, hold on. This is also a part of it too.
Okay, go first.
They don't have no goddamn personality. That's why they can't be leaders. You need, and I heard something that Cal said that I said before, and he said it in a different way, more eloquently than I do, but it's all the same thing. We need, and you alluded to it too, with Bear Rustin. We need people coming from all fronts, all avenues, with all types of expertise. We keep looking for the that charismatic leader to be the end all be all when that's never been the case. You got to have somebody in the background working to get stuff done. I'll tell you this, and this is an analogy. I had an event last night, a first Friday game night here in Augusta. And I was playing the same thing we were having my birthday. I did all this stuff by myself, everything by myself. And I was forgetting stuff. I'm like, damn, I got to do that. I ain't got time to do that. And my cousin Sheila told me last night, she said, Kenny, I'm going to be your assistant. Next time we do this, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to work with you, and I'll help you out so you won't forget anything. That's what she told me. She told me that. Because we always think that now I'm the type person, if it ain't getting done, I'm gonna do it because it's got to be done. I'm gonna do it. It all falls on me. Right. Everything fell on me. So I was like, I gotta do it. If the person who I was working with didn't hold up their part, and I had this conversation with my son yesterday. He was like, Dad, I got a project. I've done my part. My team members haven't done their part. I said, son, you just like me. You gonna get it done. He said, the other part is their expertise is not mine, but he said, this is for a great. We got to get this shit done by tonight. So I ain't got time to wait because it's got to be done.
Got to be done.
So we want our charismatic leader to be the end all, the be all, or be all in the however the phrase goes. We want them to be everything. If we had known, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, if we had known some of the stuff that Martin Luther King was doing when he was out there and all that, people wouldn't have followed him. They thought the man was perfect. They thought he was perfect. They'd be like, this one, oh no, hell no, I ain't following him. Hell no.
So my question to Cal is this. Cal, you got the system, you got the app, you got the data, but it means you and I both know I know as a business owner, I can have all the trucks to move stuff all day. If nobody knows I'm there because I'm not charismatic enough to
That's right.
do it.
Yep.
What?
It's so
How do we get it out? Look, I
right.
don't give a damn right now if it's plies. I promise
Absolutely.
you. If I thought plies could do it, I promise you, I'll be down there on Plies' campaign. I promise you.
Is he running for office?
No, he's not, because I
Oh,
just want the work done. I
oh, gotcha.
promise you. I
But
promise
you know,
but
hold
these
on.
people,
And to that
So
end,
so let me make this point. There are multiple lanes to the front, and so we need Hakeem Jeffries to be where he is. We need Cory Booker to be in the Senate where he is, representing the
first
data,
time me and
of
Cal
New
ever
Jersey.
disagreed.
I'm sorry, what?
First time me and Cal ever disagreed.
Oh,
But I'm gonna
look,
lean on
I'm
I'm gonna lean
I
on
won't.
your understanding.
I'm taking the high road here. I'm taking the high road, meaning I'm not delving into specific things I might find problematic with those two gentlemen.
Okay.
But I know, his brother was my professor, Hassan. I know the family. I know the intent and the history and the commitment, Leonard Jeffries, the whole nine, right? I know he's also having to play a very slim game
hold on.
to
He's related
do.
to Leonard Jeffries.
Yes, that's his uncle.
I
Yeah,
did not
Leonard
know that.
Jeffries is their uncle, and so you talking about legendary, intellectual. I'm going to park your garage. I hope things don't mess up, but I'm going around.
Go
Um,
ahead.
but
All right.
legendary, and that's on Leonard Jeffries. I don't give Hakeem credit just because of that, but that's the family, and I know their generational commitment. Put it that way. I have recently talked to Hassan and I got like 5 minutes with him, looking at him like, bro, Hakeem has got to really do more. He should be leveraging his position in this way, da 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 da. And I know he's getting advice all the time, but I just gave him my 2 cents, saying, we need to see a Michael Jordan baller in that position, in that role, right? We don't need to see an honorific black male who just meets the standard that white systems put there. Now, I don't want to delve so much into Hakeem. I really want to take the high road to say there are multiple positions that need to be filled in those roles, meaning in the position and outside of those roles. I always see myself. I had a brother from when I was telling me, well, look at you talking. How come you don't run for office? And I go, well, because I want to go for the greater position. I don't want to just be, and I would be if that's where God led me. But where he's led me is to build a system to harness local, love to serve day. But this is different. This is also service. This is also leadership. So, but and when it comes to that, I remember we used to talk about, well, what forces change, right? What makes a man or woman in American history to be a person of renown? And at Morehouse, in our senior level class, our last seminar study with the head of the department was all about this question. And the class was called Great Men and Women of America, right? And I used to replicate it at Douglas High School. When I would teach history, I would do a little sub class of it, right? But the way it worked, you were challenged across a range of historical figures to determine if they were great or not, according to 3 criterion. Did they have a genius? What was it? Identify a genius, say it, what it is. You have to be able to prove that they had a genius. 2, did they have a charisma, the ability to persuade? What was it about them? They had to have something that had to be magnetic enough to persuade people to movement. And it usually was something about their personality or something about their gift or something made them persuasive. It didn't always have to be, they were good humorists or whatever, right? It could be their talent was so special, George Washington Carver, that his distinct inventions made him persuasive or whatever, right? Something like that. And then the third thing is that they had to have influence on a prevailing social force, whether that be education, music, whatever, politics. And so when you apply that screen to historical figures, you start to call some not great, which is an interesting thing that happens. And you start to be able to evaluate people fully. And you start to see that the pathway to making change is having those items together, having your ability to persuade, right? How do we do that in a modern era using technology of a modern era? I feel that the business world has the most cutting edge ways in marketing to getting to decision makers, to buyers, right? So I want to take that model and employ it to getting to elected leaders, corporations, use that shit right back on their ass. You understand what I'm saying? Come on, look how much we are contacted, y'all, in all of our veins of contact, email, text, name it. They have a presentation of viewpoint and narrative. We are now going to take all of those very powerful tools, give them a MLK, Malcolm X, Madam C.J. Walker, Fannie Lou Hamer, turn and source to it, so that the truth that we're able to pump out, because remember, the key is what? Truth to power. That is how we have overcome. Every time it's been some way of truthing power, truth to power to empower our people, but also truth to power that is working against us. That is the secret. So how do we amplify that? How do we turn the volume up? I think the most immediate way to do that is through our voice, through operationalizing those 7 V's: voice, values, vision, right? Some people you can't just talk to about votes. Right now, our people are captivated in thinking that just voting and protesting are the 2 lanes of power we have. If you don't have those 2, what do you have? No, we got 25 building into our app, some that are almost completely automated, that will do protest intelligently in your voice and coming directly from your email and text boxes and so forth.
You just let me do something that I know you're not gonna do, Cal. Let me do something that all black people, every black person I know that got brilliant ideas, just refuse to do because you don't want to be seen as this person. You need money, and we need to stop sending out fucking thoughts and prayers. I'm so sick of thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers don't mean nothing without action.
Yeah. Treasure. Put your treasure where your heart is.
Action. And one
That's
of the
right.
reasons why I give Hakeem a break.
Yes.
One of the reasons why I give Hakeem a break. Because I don't think that he's insidious. I understand that he's in a borough that's full of Jewish people, and they finance his office. And because his own community won't put up $10 fucking.
Bingo.
If you got 400,000 black people in your community and they put up $10, I don't have to go to APAC.
No. And we can immediately take space. We talk shit. I'm so glad Stacy sent you money. I'm so glad the people you got on the phone call sent you money. Absolutely.
We talk shit. We go to tailgates and talk shit.
Yes,
and
exactly.
You won't send a 6-pack to the people who are fighting to keep you in the game.
Woo!
And when somebody like me comes on and tells you this and gives it to you this hard, you want to turn your anger on me. Fuck you.
Yep.
Turn it.
Leonard,
you are. I'm calling you on your shit.
Brother, you are 100.
On this shit. You could come and pay me $40 to park for a football game. Not
say it, bro. It is. That's exactly it.
You can't send the people who are fighting for you. Being a community activist should not be a vow of fucking poverty. Martin Luther King and Coretta should not have been poor. But you want your ministers to be rich? That's why I don't fucking go to church. Because you don't do nothing.
Preach. They've been so.
I don't feel safe. I don't go to church because there ain't one minister that I know that I can call and say, come to me in my goddamn playground to get some of these Negroes to stop cutting the fool around my children. But you want me to tithe.
Yeah.
You want me to get my 20%.
Yep.
You want to go tailgate. You want to go, and I'm not asking you to put, I'm saying recognize game. Hakeem cannot do anything without money. Right.
And so it takes him where he is, then it's going to take us. It takes people, right? That's what, it doesn't take a giant group, to be honest with you, but it takes people to do that. And you hit so many nails on the head, Leonard, like what you said and the way you said it was the perfect way that it needs to be communicated. Like, think about a 6-pack, think about a parking trip, a one night in Atlanta, you go pay $20 to park and, all of the other associated costs of being out. And they do that.
Cal, let me say this. I need to say this before we get off.
Yeah.
And Black women have been doing it for decades. Decades.
Yep.
Black women have been able to balance fundraising for politicians with good times.
Yep.
And when you get in Black men's ass, the first thing they want to come up with is simp, kiss my ass. Black women have been doing it for decades. And you won't even protect them. But let somebody like me come and say it. You be willing. It always amazed me, Cal and Kenneth. You willing to fight me for being the messenger, but you ain't willing to fight the person who putting the policy on your back. Make that make sense. Stephanie's on here. I'm gonna say this, and I know we gotta go. Stephanie said something to me and Kenneth 2 years ago that I will never forget. It's so visceral for me that when she said it, I got off the damn call and had to sit there. She said in Chicago, when I send my kids to school, I had to choose violence or racism. If I sent my daughters to school in my neighborhood, then I had to choose violence. If I sent them to private suburban schools, then they had to deal with racism. Because we weren't doing our job in our community.
Yep.
You want change, reach in your pocket. Trust somebody with your $10.
Yep. I agree.
If they screw up your $10, find somebody else. You waste more than $1,000 a year every year. So we are where we are. Cal,
That's true.
go take care of your son. Please
Sure, man.
You're at the hospital. We'll have you back on next week if you want to come on. Thanks for coming on. Go take care of your son. We'll see you next week.
Listen, I appreciate that more than I can say right now, man. From the heart, real talk. He is unconscious, the one that's here, and but he's showing some neural activity and so forth. So we're believing and declaring he'll come back very strong. But I do want to come back on and engage with you guys. What you did, Leonard, was the real important step by making a personal reference and then taking action on that. That is what we need more of. People who are just simply activating. And, this blow with the motorcycle accidents has sent me reeling, but we're still working, man. The stuff you haven't seen yet, the new site and the new data fields and so forth. I got more to show you, man. It's very exciting. Development has started. Remember, our target was late June to having the first public interface done. But I've only been able to give developers the first disbursement of those, donations, which totaled about $1,600. So, they have a percentage of that and they've started. But it's going to take about 25,000 to get the entire thing done. So, I'm still believing and working toward that. And I invite anybody who's really serious about making a thing happen. My classmate said it best. She was like, Cal, that's only 50 people with $500. It's 50 people with $500. But you do have to get to people's heart. Like I think someone just said, what is required is heart. You do. So I too admit I need to do better at making the message and stepping out on platform and being more visible about what we're doing. I just, I kind of want someone else to manage that because I'm trying to do the do. And I want to do that part well. And I spend so much time editing videos and stuff. When I do it sometimes, it's just not all the time. I want to have a staff for that. And that, again, takes income, or not just income, but investment for it. So, but God bless you guys. I'm going to run in here and get an update and all. And thank you, man. And God bless you. I know we're going to make an impact and win here.
We better.
We better. We better.
We better.
We better.
It ain't hope. We better.
Yep.
That's right. We better.
We better.
All right,
don't
now.
have a choice.
All right.
You know it. All right, man. Later, y'all. Okay.
You send the prayer. I say you send our prayers. Thanks.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Before we go, I want to acknowledge what Harriet said, the question that she posed.
And Don. Go
ahead. Harriet, and that's a very important question. First of all, nobody likes Stephen A. Smith, so that's one thing. If I'll say this, and if there was a whatchamacallit, let's say a primary, a run or an election between Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama, We all know that Michelle would win. Because she has that combination of personality of the credibility of growing up in Southside Chicago, growing up, not gonna say poor but broke. And there's the difference, y'all, between being poor and broke. But growing up that and then exceeding success, then elevating herself to go to one of the quote unquote best schools in the country, an Ivy League school, mastering that, and then going on to law school, mastering that, all of that. So she has that credibility with a lot of us. Kamala, I think, in my opinion, is just as accomplished as Michelle Obama is. But people don't see her that way. They don't see her as coming from an impoverished background or that same type of background. Even though she did, yeah. But people don't see that. They don't see that.
That's a colorism issue.
And
her mother
was.
Well,
it's not a colorism because she's a light-skinned black woman. Let's be real. But they did throw out, her mother's not black and all this stuff. I said this before, and I'll say it again. Talking about somebody told me that Kamala Harris, her ancestors owned slaves, and I had to tell them, I was like, yours did too. And I can tell you who they are. I can tell you their name. But it was a narrative was painted about her before she even got to that point. So, but Michelle Obama doesn't have that narrative. Black people will go through, and I really believe this because she does have the charisma. She has all three things, and I wrote down what Cal said. All three things that we want in a leader, that people want to follow. The influence on the social level, because everybody says, well, she's our forever first lady. Black people say that all the time. She can go on any show, any talk show, any late night show, any type of thing, and kill it, because she has that personality. She has a intelligence, and she also has a great sense of humor.
Hey man, let's say that. Let's say two things then. Let's keep it 100 then. Kamala didn't get support because enough black men didn't get on some national programs and tell people to kiss their ass. Like Don just said, they elected a felon proudly, and Democrats didn't like Kamala's laugh. It wasn't one black man on there going, I love her laugh. What the fuck you talking about? You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Scott Jennings just cut the fool on CNN.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, cut the fool. But not one black person, Killer Mike, nobody got on and said, hey man, I'm not about to let you say to talk that shit. Shut the fuck up, Bill Mayer. Dave Chappelle finally said it. Shut the fuck up. But nobody ever said it on the show because you want to be invited back on his show.
The question is he going to be invited back on the show? That's the question.
Or back on whose show? Bill.
On Abby Phillips. Oh, that was on Bill Maher.
No. Okay, my bad. Yeah, he's going to be invited back. Now you got the gay community outing him as of yesterday. It's the wildest thing. You got the gay community now out. You got the gay community out there going, wait, bro, you go both ways. We've been trying to be quiet about it. But don't act like we don't see you up in here in this New York bar. They gave the name and everything. How many times we have seen you up in here?
It's always something with one of them, man.
Yeah.
It's always something with one of them. It is so crazy how they all got some skeletons in their closet. They always want to jump on everybody else. Like
they always want to jump on everybody else. But hey, it's a grift. But
it is.
The real issue is, at what point do we? There was a guy on one of the sites that talked about they took the black father out of the home. Me and Kenneth can both tell you can't take us out of our home. You can't take me nowhere.
And and that narrative has been going on. That narrative has been going on for so damn long. Yeah. And I don't know where the hell that shit came from. That was never a damn policy.
Right.
That was never a damn policy.
You can't take me away from my kid.
That was never a requirement for getting welfare. It was never a requirement. So people keep talking about, well, you know, my daddy. That's maybe because your mama told you that shit.
You can't. But you can't. Colette can't take me away from my kids. Only I can take me away from my kids and my grandkids. Yeah. Only I.
It's about when a black man can't be in the home. That's some bullshit.
Only I.
But that's a narrative that people have been saying. It's been said so long that people believe it. And I'm trying to figure out, like, why the hell would they? Why would the government care whether or not if you're poor, you're poor. That's right. It.
Right. Go.
It was an income thing. If the man was in there and he made a certain amount of money, then you shouldn't be on welfare.
You shouldn't be on welfare. Now I got to work 2 jobs, but you ain't taking me away from you. When people get up and go, oh, they took the black man out of the home. Who took the black man out of their home? Black men? They didn't come in there actively and say, hey, man, you got to get out. You could have not accepted the welfare, took your ass down there and got 2 jobs and raised your kids.
Man, that narrative right there irks the hell out of me. And black people want to repeat that bullshit. And I can guarantee you, I'm going to tell you straight up, I can guarantee you it was a damn white man that said that shit and told them that. And they followed up with it.
I want to address what Steph said. We must not pit our people against each other. We must hold all who are willing to stand and sacrifice the soul. We're in this together, and there's a room for all of us. Let's get out and vote like we have never.
And Stephanie, I agree with you. I've said this before, and I actually wrote this down when Cal was talking, because Cal sort of said the same thing I've been saying. We need people coming from all different avenues.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this to both of y'all. Y'all can kill me for it. I've had a red line since 2014. If you are black and you're on the conservative side and you are not talking about protecting that 1964 Civil Rights Act, I can't fuck with you.
But Leonard, those people are not in line with what we're trying to do.
I know, but
she's talking about people who are in line with what we're trying to do. Okay. Now, if you and that's what I'm saying. We need to those conservatives, those Trump supporters, people like that wholly support Trump, they're lost. We can't do nothing with them. Let's be real. You can't change their mind. There's nothing you can do with them. So they won't even be in a part of the conversation because they won't even come to the meeting. We're talking about people who are, you can be black and you can be conservative and not want to deal with the bullshit that they put up. You can do that. And that's what we need to do. We need it's all hands on deck on this. All hands on deck. We need people with certain skill sets from no matter what it is. But if your skill set can help us get to where we need to be, that's what we need. And we all need to work together. Because we got to. We've got to. We got to get everybody on board, or as many people as we can.
And we got to shame them folks that's not on board. I
don't know. Shame will work because they don't care about shame anymore.
I'm talking about these black folks.
That's what I'm talking about too. Some of them don't care. Think about this. Leonard, I want you to think about something. You got people out here showing a natural born ass, as people we used to say back in the day, just acting a damn fool on camera for clicks and like. That's what we got. That's what we are. People in our community. Those people right there, they're lost until they figure it out. We're not worried about them. Let them do what they do. Because they ain't on the mission anyway. That's another group that's not in line with what we're trying to do. Let's get to the ones that are in line with what we're trying to do, or the ones that's on the fence. Like I say all the time, I have students that are on the fence. They can go either way, whichever way the wind blows, and we got to stop letting the wind blow in the wrong direction toward them.
Hey, look,
we got to get them off the fence. Those are the people that we need to worry about.
It's Stephanie and Kenneth. In spite of my feelings, I'm willing to not lean on my own understanding. I've always been good at that. I'm willing to say, hey, I can't see it, but you can. And if I trust you, if you see it, just because I don't see it, I'm willing to follow your lead. I have a visceral reaction to people now. And if you come and say, Leonard, I need you to calm down and get this person, I'm willing to do it based on your trust because I trust you. Because right now, where we are right now, I'm so disgusted. I'm so disgusted because Roland Martin has been talking to us bougie Negroes for 2 years saying that you're not going to be immune. Doge came in there and cracked down on 88,000 black people. And a friend of mine that's a mortgage broker broke that down for me in terms of the ecosystem that it affected. When he started talking about all the stuff that's going to be affected by 88,000 black women being out of federal jobs.
I thought it was 300 something.
It was 300 something black. I thought it was 88,000 black women in the first 6-7 months that lost their federal jobs. But it was over 300,000 workers. But it was 88,000. And so
because I've seen numbers there's 300,000, over 325,000 black women lost their job.
Right.
But 88,000, that's a lot.
Federal government.
That's billions of dollars right there.
Right.
Lost.
And lost. And the ecosystem that it supported.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience for these Negroes who sit here and talk trash, who ain't doing shit, who not supporting black women, who not supporting black kids. We done raised some soft Negroes. When our fathers, me and Kenneth's mother, Kenneth's mother's story is so phenomenal. And I'm always going, what the hell are y'all complaining about?
You know something funny? You said that, and I've never thought about that. It's being phenomenal. I always thought she did what needed to be done.
And it's phenomenal.
And that part right there is we need people who are willing to do what needs to be done. Period.
It's some superhero shit. If you really think about what a superhero does.
But I agree with you. But the funny thing is,
you lived
that was something. You said it's superhero type shit. That's what was needed, and it was an everyday thing. You did what needed to be done. Like I said, when I was talking about Ken in the project or the stuff that I did, where stuff needs to be done, it needs to be done, and we got to have people that's willing to do it, no matter what it is. Who says black folks? What you gonna do? Oh, okay. When they come for you, Marion, they already at the door. They at the door. Not when they come from you. They didn't already come. Black people have already come for us. It's not a thing. They're here. They're at the door.
Me and Marion talk 3 times a week, y'all. Me and Marion talk at least 3 to 4 times a week. Every time something comes down, me and Marion talking about it. Now the question is, and Marion's been saying this from day one. Marion's been telling me, Leonard, you need to really, really damn pull back because until the pain's great enough, I just didn't want to deal with the pain because I'm out here working.
Well,
I didn't want to deal with the pain.
I'll say this, Linda. I'm gonna say this. One of the things that we try to be solutions oriented. They're going to redraw those districts in Louisiana, get rid of the all black district, and they're going to do it again in Alabama, which is kind of funny because the court actually contradicted itself. They literally contradicted itself in 2 years. I know they don't care. I don't give a shit. I know they
we did shit.
But this is the thing.
I'm sorry.
Whether they redraw those districts or not, we can still vote those races out. That's it. We still got to show up. Just because they don't have a majority black district anymore doesn't mean we can't elect black leaders in those districts. It doesn't mean that. You know, they took a sledgehammer to the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and all of that. So we just gonna have to get out there and put in the work. And that's all it is to it. We got to put in the work. It doesn't make a difference how much what they do. We got to adapt and overcome. They throw a punch, we dodge it. They land a punch, we step back and come back with full force on them. That's what we got to do. We can't sit back and lament what woulda, shoulda, coulda.
No, that's done.
I know. I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we need to start going ahead and in those areas in Louisiana, New Orleans, those parishes outside of New Orleans and all that, or in this whole state. We need to motivate those people to vote. Period. Same thing in Alabama, because they're ready to redraw the because of that thing. They're going to redraw the maps in Alabama. Here it is with the same thing with Georgia. Kemp said, "Well, we're not going to do it before the midterms here, but it's going to get done." So we got to make sure that shit we put a governor in that won't vote for that shit.
Stephanie,
that won't sign the fucking bill.
Stephanie,
we have some in the state of Georgia. We have some very good candidates running for governor that are more qualified than every single Republican on the field. You got these two dudes, Burt Jones and Rick Jackson, vying to be the show who's the most racist. Now, what kind of bullshit is that?
It works, and
I know, but that should be a wake up call to our people in this state. That the POCs, the people of color in this state, said these motherfuckers are fighting to be considered the most racist governor ever in the history of Georgia, and that's saying a lot. When we had Lester Maddox as the governor, and all the other ones.
Maybe we ought to get Clay and Meg to go on a tour to talk about voting while they talking about their relationship. Maybe that'll get people to see it.
Well, and one more thing before we leave. When our schoolmates said something that George Sneed posted something, it was yesterday or the day before. And he said, why are we seeing, and this is for election in Augusta, y'all, why are we seeing signs for our current mayor alongside this MAGA Republican? And when I say alongside, I'm literally talking about they're sharing a pole. There's 3 poles holding up 2 huge signs. One on the MAGA side, one on the mayor's side, and one in the middle, and they're attached. So that means that's sending a message that our mayor cares more about the MAGA people than he cares about the people of Augusta, and the people who look like us in Augusta. Let's be real. So
is he African American?
Oh yeah. With the
wait. Okay, he's have black people sent him any money?
Who? That the Garnett Johnson,
the mayor of Augusta. Who you talking about?
I don't know. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit that motherfucker get money from. If he get money from the biggest damn MAGA supporters in the world, I don't give a shit. What I do give a shit about is your policies and who you align yourself with. That's who I care. I don't give a shit where you get your money from. Beelzebub himself. He can come down, appear in your office, and give you a $10 million check. I don't give a shit. Your actions speak louder than your words. His words ain't shit. His actions say a lot. And since I've been living in Augusta, since I moved back here, I've been thinking about. I've been asking people, "What do you think of the mayor?" And I've been getting mixed signals. About him, and that troubled me because if you and these are people whose opinion I respect, and people who know him personally. And one of the people that I said that told me they knew him personally, he said, "Oh, we go to church together. He's always been cool with me." That's not what I asked you, man. That's not what I asked you. And I asked him again, and he gave me the same response.
Don't get beat up.
So that's telling me right there, that's telling me a lot about who he is as a person. If the only thing that you can say about somebody is, oh, you know what? we go to the same church. He's always been all right with me.
Okay, so Kenneth, look, let's do this.
Hold on, before I end,
please,
just say, make sure that man does not win the Democratic primary. He's been taking pictures with Kemp and all that stuff. Closet conservative Republican. I can tell you that now.
Okay, you talking to people in Augusta?
Yeah, I'm talking to people in Augusta.
Let me say this. We said,
and there's several good people running for mayor. You know, I as long as you don't vote for him, I'm good with you. And I'm serious. I'm being real honest. I have the person I'm supporting. I'm gonna let you decide for yourself, but please don't vote for that man. Don't vote for him. Do not vote for him.
Let me say this. We talk about solutions oriented. I'm gonna ask a favor for everybody. Stephanie just did something that I think is really important. It's one thing to say you're doing something, it's another thing to show it. So I'm asking that 6 people that are left, the next time you come on here, just have something you did last week. Marion and his wife, they went to the 2 high schools in Macon to register young voters, teenage voters, and talk to them. They've been through this already. They've already been a part of this. Stephanie just sent out a volunteer. If you look at it, it says, please look at NCAA virtual town hall. It's a number down at 20707 that you could text volunteer. Let's come back next week and let's start off the show by saying what little thing we did this week. I don't care if I sent $5 to so-and-so. I don't care. Let's start showing it. Let's the small people we have today. Let's start showing. Big things start in small moments. But let's start showing. Let's start saying, this is what I did today. This is what I did this week. Something little. From as my young brother would say, do what you could do. But with that being said, I gotta go. It's 11:28.
Get out and vote, y'all.
We're here.
Primaries have already started.
We're in the mud now.
Mary, that's good. 80 high school. They should go. Matter of fact, this is something that I used to do when I was in my chapter in Nimi Lambda in DeKalb County. I would go to high schools in DeKalb County and register kids to vote.
We're in the mud.
Those are new voters. Every day somebody in high school turns 18. You register them to vote. Those are people and you make a big deal out of them registering to vote. They will think about, this is a big deal. And they'll probably vote. If you get half of those 80 high school students to vote, Marion, you've done a good job. If you get half of them, 40 of them to vote, that's 50% right there. Let's start with 50%.
I want you to look what Marion said, and he told me that. I went and looked it up, and I could not believe it. I posted on my Facebook page. George Wilder said he would not be out-nigged again. That's what you're saying with Ricky Jackson and Burt Jones. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to tell you what I was told about Burt Jones. I was told unequivocally, Black folks do not want him governor because that is not an act. The other people may be an act, but you do not want him because it's not an act. It is not an act. He does not like Black people. But he got a whole bunch of gambling machines.
And played for the University of Georgia.
But he got a whole bunch of gambling machines in Black neighborhoods. Got a whole bunch of those little slot machines in Black neighborhoods. So with that being said, y'all, I got to get out of here. Thanks for joining us. Show us what you got next week. Come back with something. Let's start something. We're in it now. We're in the mud now.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right. Deuces.